wasn't just Manchester United who were disappointed last night on the field of play, Danny. No doubt. Arsenal going to Lens and losing. Questions have got to be asked. Arteta, is he in the dock this morning, Danny? Before we hear him, is he in the dock this morning regarding Bukayo Saka eventually breaking down? This is a player who started the last 87 consecutive games. 87 consecutive. Well, this was almost inevitable that he's going to pull up sometime, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty much. I've thought all along. I don't mind him playing a lot of the games, but I think in so many games where they were up last season, they left him on the pitch. They played him in Europe in games they didn't need to. I don't think he rotates him very well, generally.
No.
Now I'm not.
They were 3-0 up at Bournemouth, and he didn't take him off earlier.
Well, he had a knock as well. Now I don't know if the knock. It doesn't look like the knock is linked to the muscle injury he got last night. But if you're winning 3-0 away at Bournemouth and your player's limping around and he's got a knock, just bring him off. Give him a breather. They've got lots of quality. They don't need to be so heavily reliant on it.
Yeah.
And I think, although he'll say, I've heard Arteta talk about it this week and saying, players have got to have the mentality to play 50 plus and all these things. And he's right. I don't like players needing to be rested often. But there has been opportunities for Saka to have a breather.
Well,
They've got plenty of other guys who can come in and do a good job.
Well, this was put to Arteta post-match, and this is what he said on Saka.
He tried to backheel the ball in the first half and he felt something. It was something muscular and he wasn't comfortable to carry on, so we had to take him off. Now, we don't know anything more than that. Obviously, he was big enough not to allow him to continue to play the game, and that's obviously a worry for us.
So Arsenal take on Manchester City, Simon, next Sunday.
Yeah.
This Sunday coming potentially without Saka.
There's no way he'll be playing. It's a muscle injury. It's got no chance.
I mean, there's Danny telling us, no, you can forget him now. He won't feature because you know what goes on with an injury like that.
Well, you saw him limping to the dugout. The thing is, if you've got a muscle injury in a midweek, you're not playing at the weekend.
I mean, presumably, pre-match, if there's no Saka before City, someone's bound to say to Arteta, 87 consecutive games.
Well, that's the assumption is a good assumption that someone's going to ask the question and we're going to understand from the horse's mouth why he's felt the necessity. I mean, there is an ideal that if your best players are fit and they want to play, you play them. I mean, I would imagine that Haaland played in as many games as they possibly could have him playing last year.
No,
with the exception of when he wasn't fit.
No, he was sat on the bench a few times. Good few times, yeah. The exception, there's always exceptions.
One thing I'd say, Dan, he's durable. When he's kicked, he gets up.
He's phenomenal. Fit, hungry. And what Arteta did mention the other day, and to be fair, said that Saka himself desperately wants to play all the games. But that's the 22-year-old, you need
it's not
managing.
his decision.
One of the most durable front three actually was Mane, Salah and Firmino in the heyday. They never miss games. And there's something to be said when forward players are playing well. But what Mane, Firmino and Salah did was they got brought off in games a lot, 20 minutes. And as we know, sports science tells us, the last quarter of the game is when you're in the red zone, most fatigued, most susceptible to injuries. I know Saka did this early. But he rarely brings Saka off.
Well, there must be a reason. I mean, they're not devoid of intelligence. They're not devoid of the same principles. Fear.
He gets Arteta.
Well, he's going to have a bigger fear now, isn't he? Because he's now missing him.
Arteta gets fearful if when he brings him off, they're not as potent and they're not as threat.
Jason in Brighton thinks he's nailed it. Arteta's always got Saka in his fantasy team. I don't think so. I think it's a bit more serious than that, Jason. You have to wonder about Arsenal then taking on City at this particular time then. If there is no Martinelli, if there is no Saka.
Well, City would be favourites anyway, even if they had those two.
Yeah, but
the great thing
is
is
most potent.
The pace. It's the pace. It's the counter-attack. It's the speed. When you see them two on the team sheet, you think, whoa. They had Trossard on the left yesterday, starting the game. Who I like, he's a goal threat. And he brought Vieira on the right wing, who's a lovely footballer, but he's not quick.
Yeah.
Now, if they set up with them two against City, the fullbacks don't have to worry about being run. Them two aren't running in behind. That's a problem straight away. Give City control. Yeah. They are different qualities, I get that. But he had Reece Nelson, quick, direct. Could have brought him on last night. He might play at the weekend. The only saving grace for Arsenal, City, they lost the last two. And they're not quite at it. They've had a couple of games where they've not been at it. But that also, you could argue, goes the other way where wounded animal.
Yeah. Tim in Sutton Tim Vine and Sutton. Is it Tim Vine? I think it's the Tim Vine that we know and love.
Sutton's next to me.
Hindsight's a wonderful thing. I don't remember any of the pundits, clever clog pundits, complaining that Saka was on game number 80, consecutive game number 81 or 82 or 83.
I spoke about this last season after a European game and said I couldn't believe he was playing. I have, yeah.
You have, okay.
I don't understand why when they were going for the title last year, the European and the Cup games, he wasn't rested in all of them.
Okay.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.